Welcome to the Creative Cast. I'm your host, Tammy Munson, podcast producer, coach, and CEO of Wildfire Creative. Are you struggling to grow and monetize your podcast? Want to learn more about starting your own podcast? Are you looking for the secrets behind the business side of podcasting? Well, friends, you are in the right place. Here on the Creative Cast, I'm going to be sharing all the tips and tricks on all things podcasting for the faith-based podcaster. Each episode is going to contain powerful information to help you get started with your own podcast, learn the secrets of building a business, and of course, growing and monetizing your podcast. All right, y'all, without further ado, let's get started. Hey friend, and welcome to the Creative Cast. Thank you so much for joining me on the show today. I am still enjoying my little podcasting break and enjoying the lovely Iowa weather. Did you detect a little bit of sarcasm there? Really wishing that I lived in Texas, yes. But it is what it is, right? So today's episode, I'm throwing it way back again, back to April of 2021, another early episode of the Creative Cast. Now, y'all know I love podcasts, I love podcasting, and while podcasting is still very popular, in fact, we launch a new show tomorrow, and we're working on another launch for next month. Now, listen, despite some of the recent reports, podcasting is not going anywhere. In fact, I believe we are headed into another exciting era in podcasting, what I like to call the golden era of podcasting. But with all of that, there are reasons why you should not start a podcast. Yes, I said should not. Podcasting is fun, and I absolutely love it. And it can be a great addition to your business, to showcase your expertise, to learn more about a topic, to create awareness for a topic. There are so many excellent reasons on why you should, but there are a few really good reasons why maybe you shouldn't. So, without further ado, let's dive in. One of the big things and why I wanted to do this particular episode is because being a podcast editor and producer and coach, I talk to a lot of people about podcasting, specifically about starting their own podcast. If you're toying with the idea just because of the numbers, of the popularity, I want you to step back from the mic, sit down, and think about a couple of things. Because while these numbers of listeners and potential customers and or clients make podcasting look very attractive, I can tell you that many of these shows do not grab the attention of their listeners due to a variety of reasons. The podcast is not very good, the content is wrong, they don't use a very good mic, the audio quality is not good, the editing quality isn't, they over edit so that everybody sounds like a robot. The list goes on and on. And the worst part about all this is that so many of these podcasts are dead, that the podcaster has abandoned them. And usually you'll start to see it, probably about around episode 8. So they're about 2 months in if they're doing a weekly show, that you'll start to see the quality go down and down and down. And then you just don't hear anything from them anymore. Now, did you know that less than 50% of the 2.2 million podcasts are actually active, which means only half of those shows have had a new episode published this year? If you're one of those, I hear this quite often, that you think, oh, podcasting is so easy. You show up, you hit record, and you publish. Now, if you believe that's all it takes in podcasting, don't start a podcast. If you think, oh, it doesn't take much time to do that, don't start a podcast. I feel like Jeff Foxworthy. Because in order to put out a great show with great content that people are going to want to listen all the way through, there's going to be several things that you're going to need to do just to put that episode out. You're going to need to research. You're going to have to find a guest if you're going to do an interview show. There's lots and lots of little things that add up over time that you need to do for each and every episode. Now, one of my other favorites is, well, I want to have a podcast because everybody else has one. Again, no. That's not a good enough reason. When I hear this, the first thing that pops in my head is my grandmother telling me when I was a little girl, Tammy, if everyone jumped off the Mississippi River Bridge, would you jump off of it too? So just because everybody else is doing it doesn't mean it's the right thing for you. Maybe you're a better writer than you are a speaker. Maybe utilize blogging, utilize microblogging. Maybe you're better on video than you are with straight audio. Go ahead and do that. There's different options because you want to use your strengths, just not what everybody else is doing. That doesn't make any sense. The other big misconception that I hear all the time, that you can make a fast buck with podcasting. Now, I can tell you, podcasting won't get you that quick money. Now, there are many stories about these super successful podcasters that quickly rose to fame, or at least it seems that way. And even if they're the ones that are telling you this, they are probably not telling you the months and years of hard work that went into building their expertise and running and producing their show. Many of these podcasters also had a built-in following. They already had a following through social, whether they're a celebrity, a TV personality, an author. They already had that audience. So all they had to do was say, I'm starting a podcast. And all of their followers just follow them over to Apple Podcasts and subscribe to their podcast. So it takes a while. And despite all of this, only a few achieve this super successful status after many months or years. You can make money in podcasting. You can make income through podcasting, but it's going to take time. It's going to take a lot of hard work, and it's going to take a strategic plan. And I kind of get into all that when I covered how to launch a podcast in episode 1. If you haven't listened to that one, go back and listen to it, especially if you're interested in launching a podcast, because I really talk about your why. And these are the whys that you should not have. There's some very specific whys that you should have. Other thing is financial investment. Yes, you can start a podcast for relatively cheap. You don't have to spend thousands of dollars in order to do it, but you're going to need to invest in some decent equipment. You're not going to be able to get away doing it 100% free because it's not going to work. Yeah, you can get hosting for free through Anchor, and you can try to use your computer mic, but it's not going to come out very well. If you're going to do it, be serious about it, commit to it, spend $100 to $200 on it to get a decent mic. You don't need to have the best of the best, but you do need to put some money into your podcast. I'm going to have a little soapbox moment here for a sec. If you're thinking of starting a podcast and you come across someone that says they can start a podcast for you and it's going to cost you $7,000, run. All they're doing is trying to take your money. But I would start out with basic equipment, decent but basic equipment, a basic mic, a pop filter, headphones, a computer, editing software, hosting. That's pretty much what you need. Now, don't get me wrong. I love podcasting. I love everything about it. It's my passion. It's my business. But I would be doing everyone a disservice if I recommended to every single person, go and start a podcast. Having your podcast is fun, and it can be a lot of fun, and you're going to learn a lot, not just about podcasting, but about the topics that you talk about. There's so many reasons to start one. You got to make sure you're in it for the right reasons. And you got to make sure that you're in it for the long haul. Ladies, thank you so much for tuning in today. I hope that was especially helpful for you, especially if you are in the I want to start a podcast section of the group. Now, there's no recommendation this week, but I do have a big favor to ask. Would you leave a review of the Creative Cast on Apple Podcasts? Now, as I've talked about several times, podcast reviews are essential for podcasters. They provide social proof that people like yourself are listening to the show, enjoy the show, and it also helps others find out about the show. So all you have to do is go over to applepodcast.com/thecreativecast. Try and use your phone if you can. So once you're there, go ahead and give the rating that you feel we deserve. We would love 5 stars, but what we can do better. Now, here's some bonus points, y'all. And, of course, a chance for a shout out on the podcast. So go ahead and add a quick sentence about what you enjoy about the show. Maybe something you enjoyed learning about, something maybe you want to know more about. And include something in there kind of funny, like maybe me running for president or that I'm taking it on the road. Just something fun in there. And make sure to include your podcast name if you have one, because I would totally love to highlight your podcast here on the Creative Cast. Now, ladies, you know that I believe in each and every one of you. And I want you to do the same. Don't let the overwhelm, the intimidation, the tech, the numbers, the imposter syndrome stop you from reaching your goals. Whether that's starting a podcast or growing your podcast or whatever it may be, you can do this. I love this time that we spend together each week because I do this show to share my expertise and knowledge with you so that you can spend less time worrying about all the things and more time spreading your message, answering God's call, and sharing your story, because our stories matter. So friends, I hope that today's episode was very helpful for you, and I will talk to you next Monday. Bye, y'all.